Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narsimhan coming to you live from the CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studios. First up, ladies and gentlemen, the story that should trouble all of us because these developments in the neighborhood seldom augur well for Bharat, especially when democracy is under threat and an elected leader is forced to flee the country. Well, let's try and understand the current situation in Bangladesh. There is turmoil, there is chaos and anarchy on the streets of Bangladesh. Here on The Right Stand, we've been tracking Bangladesh very, very closely in the recent past and have been getting you up to speed about the unrest that's unfolded in Bangladesh, and it's been building up. The entire quota storm seems to be just perhaps the final nail or final, blow or whistle that just set off this entire pressure cooker-like situation that was building, and it just come undone on the streets. It's been about 3 or 4 years that there has been a certain level of resentment on ground against Sheikh Hasina for multiple reasons, but for democracy to be held at ransom, and despite the elections in the recent past where the Awami League stormed the elections in Bangladesh, it's just shocking how it's come undone. Protests that began in July turned far more violent, virulent over the days, and then this Monday morning, the 76-year-old Sheikh Hasina, who'd been in power in Bangladesh, elected by the people for more than 15 years, since 2008 she's been in power, ultimately forced to step down. The Bangladesh Army Chief General Waqf, who announced the resignation of Sheikh Hasina, has said that the army was in the process of forming an interim government in the country. The exit of Sheikh Hasina, one of Bharat's closest allies, is not good news for us. The main opposition party, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, headed by Khaleda Zia, is seen as closer to Pakistan, and the Bangladesh under the BNP might be far more susceptible not just to Chinese influence, but a free run for radicals and Islamists, who have also in the shadows been backing a lot of this unrest and anarchy that's been seen. People have carted away even birds and bowls from the Prime Minister's residence, official residence, as they have stormed into that area. And look what they are doing inside the Bangladesh Parliament. This is the Bangladesh Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, these visuals that you're seeing. And this is what's happening inside the Parliament. Now, we've been getting you exclusive visuals of the chaos that engulfed Bangladesh from early morning. These visuals that you're seeing on your screens are the first exclusive visuals shared by us this morning by our security affairs expert Manoj Kumar Gupta. Visuals showing how anti-quota protests escalated in Noakhali and Hindus were being targeted in these protests. Now, during these protests, the Hindu Awami League leader Haradan Roy and his nephew were actually lynched. Scenes of absolute chaos after Sheikh Hasina's exit. Hundreds and thousands of protesters defying curfew, marching on the capital street, later storming into the Prime Minister's palace, Gana Bhavan, and also visuals showing crowds running into the Premier's official residence in Dhaka, waving to the camera as they celebrated. This is just a reminder of how it unfolded in Sri Lanka. Look at them. They're carting off things. Frames, bowls, sofas, anything and everything that they can take away, they are doing that. In fact, some were seen taking away birds also. Some telling pictures, scene of complete anarchy, a mob vandalizing the Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's father, the former Bangladesh President Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's statue in Dhaka. Is the father of the nation. He's the man principally credited with Bangladesh's liberation. Bangladesh's Army Chief Waqf said that an interim government will soon be formed after the Prime Minister resigned and left the capital in the face of overwhelming protests. We will form an interim government soon, is what he said, and most likely it's going to be an all-party combined. But worries are there that there could be, entities inimical to Bharat, more friendlier with the enemy, that is Pakistan, more friendlier with entities like China, who could come in. More importantly, far more radical far-right Islamists who could be in power very soon. Now, Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina resigned, left the country amid massive anti-government protests. Her departure coming after weeks of anti-government violence that left more than 300 people dead. Unofficial numbers are above 1,500. More unruly scenes coming in from Dhaka as protesters seen taking over the parliament in Bangladesh, vandalizing the place after Sheikh Hasina's exit. This is the Bangladesh parliament. If the people were protesting for liberation, for the fact that they wanted Sheikh Hasina, who they termed as a dictator, to go, is this how you would treat your own parliament? Top intelligence sources telling CNN News 18 that her exit is a blow to democracy in Bangladesh and that parties closer to Pak ISI could be coming together to rule Bangladesh, which is a major concern. Safety of Hindus, the minority in Bangladesh, is a huge concern too. Sushant Sareen joining us, and then we should have Major Shamsher M. Chaudhary or Bir Bikram, the former Foreign Secretary of Bangladesh, to be joining us, and Lieutenant General K.J. Singh should also be joining us. Sushant Sareen, you had predicted this not so long ago, and it has come to pass. What should we as a country be doing now?
I don't think we have too many options, Anand, right now at this point in time. I hate my predictions when they come true. I only hope that they turn out wrong. But unfortunately, look, that was the writing on the wall. So the thing is that now, there are very limited options because even Bangladeshis don't know what the hell is happening in that country. The military has set up some kind of, or is trying to set up some kind of an interim government. It'll underwrite that government. But will the military be able to impose or bring back, semblance of law and order back? And how soon will that happen? Will this interim government be acceptable to the agitators, not just the political parties that bandwagon on this agitation, but also some of these quote-unquote student activists who were spearheading this agitation? What is the say they are going to have? And if they don't accept it and they continue with what is happening on the streets right now, then how do you re-establish control? Then there is the issue of the pogroms against Hindus. What if that leads to a large-scale exodus of Hindus once again? Something which you cannot completely rule out, because Bangladesh has become a bit of a hellhole for minorities. And not only for the Hindus, but also for people who were aligned with the Awami League. There are problems out there as well, because there are reports coming in that many of the people associated with the Awami League government, their homes are being targeted, they are being assaulted, all kinds of things are happening. It's complete anarchy and chaos on the streets. So the question then is, first thing is to re-establish law and order. Then you will have to see what are the next steps that are going to be taken. Is this interim government going to be for 3 months, going into fresh elections? And then what do those elections throw up? What is the new government which comes in? Does the army take over directly? Looks unlikely, because the acceptability of the army rule, I think, will be questionable. Will an interim government persist for more than a couple of months? Again, big question mark. So I think everything is in a bit of a flux. So in a situation like this, I think India's options are very limited. Perhaps what we can at best do is, at this point in time, ensure that there is minimum spillover of whatever is happening in Bangladesh into India, but ensure that if there are Hindus who are making a beeline to India to escape religious persecution and pogroms by the majority Muslim community, then certainly we have to give them refuge. And I think the government in India would be remiss if it was not to do that. They passed the CAA, then sat on it for 4 years, did not follow it through. Even that was a very limited kind of a relief that was offered to persecuted minorities. I think we'll have to think this thing through. The time for some kind of complacency on this particular issue is gone. Secondly, I think, Anand, we have to understand a couple of things. There'll be a lot of carping sounds that India's foreign policy in the region has failed. All that nonsense will be said. What were the choices in Bangladesh? At the time Sheikh Hasina came into power, what were the other alternatives? There was the BNP, which used to promise, this guy Tariq Rahman, BNP leader's son, used to tell the Indian interlocutors that, no, we will ensure there is no terrorism against India. We will not give refuge to separatist groups. But, he would say that on our face, and behind, our backs, he would carry on with business as usual. Right. Because they were with the Jamaat-e-Islami, which is the mothership of terrorism in this region. So we could not go along with those guys. What was our option? We had to stick to Sheikh Hasina. She was our best bet. And to be fair to her, she did deliver on the India's security concerns, and in return there was a very good trade treaty that was signed with Bangladesh. The relations between India and Bangladesh improved tremendously. There was massive infrastructure and connectivity projects that were underway. So a lot of good things happened under Sheikh Hasina between India and Bangladesh. Now that she's not going to be there, we'll have to see that whoever comes back into power, will they continue with that policy, or will they revert to that old policy of treating India as an enemy country? So I think there are serious questions that are arising right now. We don't have answers to any of them because, frankly, it's a situation in a flux, and nobody really knows what the hell is going to happen tomorrow.
Now, Taslima Nasreen has tweeted that Sheikh Hasina, in order to please Islamists, threw me out of my country in 1999 after I entered Bangladesh to see my mother on her deathbed and never allowed me to enter the country again. The same Islamists have been in the student movement who forced Hasina to leave the country today. The presence of Islamists as part of this entire movement and them actually co-opting it and using it to their advantage and eventually corrupting it altogether, General KJ Singh. Do you believe this to be true? This could have some merit, that this was no longer just a student protest and they had elements like the Ansarullah Bangla, Jamaatul Mujahideen Bangladesh, Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh, all of them being involved in?
Anand, firstly, Jai Hind. While I agree that there are lumpen elements which have taken over this uncontrolled kind of mayhem which has been unleashed in Bangladesh, but that is Bangladesh's problem which has ramifications on us, and we just cannot become irrelevant in Bangladesh. Bangladesh is too critical for us. Bangladesh is gateway to Northeast. It has got demographic challenges. There are issues of insurgents finding sanctuary over there. So, Anand, I would tend to feel that instead of trying to now feel who has done this, how it has happened, we'll have to be nimble, we'll have to remain relevant, we'll have to find traction, we'll have to forge links with military over there, because military is going to be a dominant player. Sure, our diplomacy is quite smart. They have to find ways. Even if we have to use a not so radical kind of Islamist, we must find one. Because Bangladesh we can easily, unlike some other countries where we can have temporary reverses, in Bangladesh's case, it is very sensitive for us. So I would tend to believe there are always people who can reach out. It is time to pull out those cards and play them and remain relevant in this flux kind of a situation. Firstly, very strongly put out the fact that we are with the public, we respect their sentiments, and whichever way they form the government, we will stand by with it. And not to be seen too much. Sheikh Hasina has been excellent. At one stage, I wrote India should give her Bharat Ratna. But now the scene has changed. Our strategic interests demand that while we give her safety, we are not seen to be playing along with her. There has to be, this narrative has to be somehow built up.
We have to.
It's very sensitive, like what Sushant is also saying. We have to remain relevant there.
True, we will always be relevant, but how strategically, diplomatically, how do we ensure that we underline our relevance is perhaps more important, and how do we manage this tightrope? On the one hand, we don't know whether Sheikh Hasina has gone for good or will she come back to Bangladesh again. She's a fighter and she's done that in the past and she's always returned. The other aspect is that we need to ensure that we protect our interests as a nation, because geopolitically Bangladesh is critical as a nation state that we help liberate, and also beyond that strategically too. Major General, Major Shamsher M. Chaudhary, Bir Bikramji is with us now. Namaste. Thank you very much for your time, sir. How would you read the situation? Was it something that was simmering for a while and it's finally come to a boil, or has this taken a lot of people by surprise? The turn of events in a few hours today.
Thank you so very much for inviting me. I tend to agree completely with General Singh that India matters. In the case of Bangladesh, India cannot afford to take a serious negative view, and the names you were mentioning, Ansarul Islam and all that, this is rubbish. I mean, this has no place in Bangladesh. Jamaat never got more than 3% votes in Bangladesh. Number one. Number two, the protest this time was led by the students, first of all. Yes, Jamaat and Islamists might have infiltrated. They have infiltrated. But if you look at the major players in the forefront, they're all progressive-minded people who don't like fundamental politics at all. Bangladesh is inherently a non-communal society. Now, will Sheikh Hasina return? I do not know. I don't know where she's going right now. One news from your Indian sources has told me she's going to London. The other source told me she's going to Belarus. From Delhi, I do not know where she's going. The fact is, Sheikh Hasina can only blame herself for what this has been brought into us. You know, this time, the student movement, as you said, whether it has happened overnight or not, it certainly not happened overnight. Series of, rigged elections, giving total denial space to any dissent. Forget about opposition political party, total dissent. Yes, India found comfort dealing with Sheikh Hasina government, and for the right reason perhaps, because she ensured security issues of India. She was very close to India. Both governments, whether the Congress or BJP government, had found comfort in dealing with her. But for India's point of view, the relationship has always to be with the people of Bangladesh, not just with a political party, not put all your eggs in one basket. So what happened is the student protest, when it was coming up, it was purely a student protest. No outsiders were there. The quota reform issue. She was very dismissive about it. Very dismissive. The Secretary General of the Awami League said, my student league is good enough to beat these guys out of hell. So you are antagonizing millions of youth who never had a chance to vote because we have been going through for fraud and flawed elections in Bangladesh over the last year. We could not even emulate your election system. I mean, your voters at the end of the day have a trust in the election process. Our voters lost trust in elections. We don't have 7 to 8% turnout in elections anymore. Whereas at one time we used to have 70%, 60% turnout. So India should reach out to the people. I have been a true and trusted friend of India for a long. I'm a freedom fighter. I was wounded in the war. I'm alive today because of Indian intervention in 1971, for which I'm very deeply grateful. And I'm in touch with Indian retired military people, retired ambassadors, diplomats, all the time. I was in Delhi only recently and I met all of them. I'm a regular speaker at CLAWS, the Center for. So it is people like us that I just, before coming to I got a couple of minutes, I was talking to the Indian High Commissioner before I came to the thing. Just reassure him that, I'm there, I'm always with you. I know the BNP will not like me because I left the BNP, and I left the BNP because of their dependence on Jamaat. So Jamaat will obviously not want me around. BNP will not want me around. So be it. Big deal. I'm 76 years old. I can do without politics. But for India, it is important to engage, as General Singh was saying, KG Singh was saying, that engage the forces that will engage with the military. Come what may, for the time being, the military will be a factor in the government for some time. I don't think they will want to stay too long. If you stay too long, you then start to overstay your welcome.
Yes.
Right now, they are being seen as, a relief kind of a thing. They brought us relief. They got rid of Sheikh Hasina, she's blown off, etc., etc., etc. At the same time, one must remember that Awami League is an old party.
Right.
It's a party that has grass, but then it has spoiled itself seriously because of corruption, because of cronyism, because of the student league and the youth league. which has ran rampant all over the country over the last 10 years or 15 years. Let us not lose hope. I think it is everything, all good things come to an end, all bad
things also pass. So you believe that
I've
Bharat should right now.
I've also always told my friends in India that you cannot take friends to only half the people. Reach out to everybody. Okay, Jamaat is a bad, but there are other political forces which are progressive, which relates to the history of Bangladesh. The new generation don't even know Pakistan.
Correct.
They know there's some failed state 1,000 miles away, which is having terrorism and all kinds of extremism and all built into it. Pakistanis don't trust Pakistan anymore. How can Bangladeshis trust Pakistanis? So I think it is very important for India to remain engaged. We have a very good High Commissioner here. The defense cooperation with India is growing. It should continue to grow. The two forces that are licking their lips right now are China and Pakistan. But I think India should step in. I mean, Indian line of credit is a very generous, but its distribution system is so poor. I cannot, even my friends in Delhi say that we are so entangled in our bureaucracy in handing out $8 billion to you that we get criticized for not doing enough economically for Bangladesh. But India has done a lot.
So you are saying, Major Shamshed Chaudhary, that Bharat should continue to engage, look beyond Sheikh Hasina, but look at the possible options and the progressive options, and that there is more to it than meets the eye. Absolutely. Beyond just the conspiracy theory. There is a huge student movement, and there is a generation that wants to express itself.
Our society is a non-fundamental society, non-fundamentalist society.
All right. So does Sushant Sareen, does that also now give us an opportunity, one, to do something that we have desisted so far, that is to try and strengthen our borders and to try and reinforce our positions there, and also to try and make it less porous? That's one aspect. The other aspect is also try and open these channels and to ensure that we continue to hold that strategic advantage as a friend, as an ally in Bangladesh.
And a good neighbor.
Yeah, I think, Anand, we'll have both. It's certainly not my case that now that Sheikh Hasina is no longer the Prime Minister in Bangladesh, we have nothing to do with Bangladesh. That's not how countries operate. We will have to deal with whoever comes to power in Bangladesh, number one. And yes, we will have our own multiple axes along which we will deal with multiple people in Bangladesh. That's the job of diplomats. That's the job of people-to-people relationship. All of that notwithstanding, I think we also have to understand who comes to power. Look, as of now, and again, I don't want to sound like a doomsday, guy, although I think increasingly these days that's what I'm sounding like. But look, here is the problem. If supposing the army, how much is the army actually going to be in charge? Given the kind of scenes that we've witnessed on the streets of Bangladesh, we'll have to wait and see how much the army is able to impose law and order, restore law and order. We've seen in Pakistan the army, which was a lot more powerful in terms of its ability to influence politics and influence the street. We see the army, all at sea in trying to control the situation out there.
We'll have to wait and watch, because one gets the understanding that if it is indeed a student protest, and if it is a youth, and if they are going to listen in, and if they are going to be progressive, will they back off? And within the next 24 hours, do we see normalcy returning and the army asserting itself?
Look, forget about the students. Look, as far as an Indian, and my problem in Bangladesh is increasingly that even if the protests are being spearheaded by the students and other people have infiltrated, the impact of these protests happening in places on the Hindu community, I think is terrible. The kind of visuals that are coming out on social media, and many of these are verifiable, they are scary.
Let's see. Yeah, I agree with you, and I share those concerns, along with the fact that there are many from the Bangladeshi Hindu community who are also part of these protests. So there is that aspect too. Let's see over the next 24 hours whether or not things come to a certain level of normalcy, because that will give us the cue of how things will move forward. I thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Moving on. Now, after top government sources told CNN News 18 that the government is planning to bring the Waqf Act amendment bill in Parliament sometime this week, the opposition is fanning a dangerous narrative ploy by the government. That's what they are pushing. Minority Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju has told CNN News 18 that there has been continuous demand and representation from poor and common people, largely Muslims, including women, for a long time to make the Waqf property more transparent, efficient and beneficial for the community overall. Government sources have also told CNN News 18 that the main issue the Waqf Amendment Bill addresses is the verification of the properties by an authority, as right now there is no foolproof mechanism for it, nor is there any plan or any provision there that allows them to challenge this in court. Now, first up, let's take a look at some of the big amendments that the government is looking at. That's what we are reportedly given to understand in this entire Waqf Act amendment bill. First proposal is mandatory verification of the property claims by the Waqf boards. Secondly, proposal that there will be a mandatory verification on disputed properties of the Waqf boards. The third proposal is representation of women in the Central Waqf Council and state boards. The fourth proposal is scrutiny of limited appeal process as laid out in the Waqf Act. The fifth proposal is that the district magistrates will monitor Waqf properties to prevent misuse of the assets altogether. Now, why is there criticism of this existing act, the Waqf Act that came into force around in 1995 and was amended sometime in 2013? Now, despite vast land holdings, interests of elite Muslims is being served is one criticism. The other criticism is needs of marginalized, especially Pasmanda Muslims, is being neglected. The allegations of corruption and mismanagement plague the Waqf board. Poor utilization of assets, not enough income generated. The privileges create social tensions and affect sections of community. This is the argument, along with the kind of land holdings that the Waqf has and which many believe is second only to the government and the army. That's what we are given to understand. Joining us now, Vishnu Shankar Jain, advocate in the Supreme Court, and Waris Pathan, spokesperson of the AIMIM and also a practicing lawyer himself. My namaste and Jai Hind to the two of you. Thank you very, very much, gentlemen. It's between the two of you, the pros and cons of this entire move. How would you see this, Waris Pathan? Because the government has said that they have got written suggestions from all the stakeholders that they have engaged with, and there is largely a consensus that this needs to be amended, the Waqf Act. Your thoughts?
BJP and the RSS are lying, and we've said and I reiterate again today that their intentions are per se mala fide. They want to usurp up the Waqf property which is given to us by our ancestors. These are properties which are given as charities. There is a due process of law which is followed when a person wants to waqf his property. There is a notification issue that the government gazette comes out and that property is waqf. But the government wants to interfere into it and see to it that the Waqf board, which is an autonomous body itself, they want to take over the powers. They want to usurp up the Waqf property belonging to the Muslims. Now, already the Waqf Act 1995 is into existence. There was an amendment made in the Waqf Act in 2013, which is there. Waqf board in every state are there. Waqf tribunals are there. So if there is any land grabbing or dispute arising out of that, they will take care of it. But the Modi government wants to polarize the situation. They want to take over, usurp the property, and they want to interfere into it. They want to take over the powers of the Waqf board. Now, if there is a dispute, allow me, if there is a dispute, that dispute can very well be settled by court, by judiciary. Now they say that there are no women's empowerment also they spoke. You and me, nobody has seen the bill just yet. Since yesterday we have been watching the TV, we have been seeing the social media, it is going on that a Waqf amendment bill is likely to be introduced. In Lucknow itself, the Waqf tribunal is headed by one lady, Sandhya Srivastava. So why do they want to get the bill? That's why I said the bona fide intention. Muslim personal law board has also stated that they object. We have also strong objections to it for any amendments to be made. It is an autonomous body. But they want to see to it that they take over. If there is a land grabbing of any Waqf property in the country, what steps have been taken by the BJP government to ensure that the land grabbers are removed, the mafias are removed? Why don't you give additional summary powers to the Waqf board to see to it that the land mafias are removed? No, many properties have been taken over by the government itself. The BJP, the leaders, they have possession of the property. In Maharashtra, I can show you several properties which they have taken over.
Right.
But interfering into it, doing amendment out of getting amendments done. This is totally per se unconstitutional. It is against the right to practice religion. It is against the constitution.
Right.
Against the intentions are the target is Muslim community. Anand, just 10 seconds, I will finish my point. The target is the Muslim community. The hatred which the BJP government has towards the community, they hate everything.
Vishnu Jain.
See, there is a very important saying in law: power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Now, if you have given so much unchecked and unfettered powers to a particular section of the society, it is bound to be misused. And it's the things which I'm going to point out in today's debate. It's no more like a perception which I'm trying to build. Actual situations have happened. If you will see the issue of Taj Mahal, that matter is pending where the Waqf board has misused its powers. Allahabad High Court's own land has been declared, a portion of land has been declared as a Waqf property. The matter went to the Supreme Court and ultimately it is solved now. Chandrasekhar Azad Park, Surat Municipal Corporation, Bed, Dwarka. Apart from that, Gyan Vyapi, Mathura Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi. These are the instances where these are the instances where the Waqf board has misused its power. And how this power is misused, there are certain provisions, Anand, which I want to highlight. The first provision is section 40 subclause 1 and 40 subclause 3, where the Waqf board has the power to declare any land as Waqf property. No such power is there with any other section of the society. Apart from that, the definition of the Waqf Act, which is there in the Islamic principle under Mullah's Mohammedan law and Bailey's Digest, both these definitions say that a person can do a Waqf if it belongs to his own ownership. Now, this definition has been diluted under section 3 subclause R of the Waqf Act, and Waqf by user concept has also been brought in. So these concepts and this definition itself is against the basic Islamic tenets. Apart from that, under section 4, 5 and 6, this survey happens. The cost of this survey is borne by the state government, which is in clear violation of Article 27. This survey, earlier the law was that non-Muslims, this survey notification will not apply to non-Muslims. That law has been amended in 2013 and section 6 has been amended to bring in the word person aggrieved instead of word person interested. And recent judgment of Supreme Court has come in Rashid Wali Beg, where it says that if a non-Muslim also, this survey will apply and he has to come to the Waqf tribunal. The constitution of Waqf tribunal, which Waris Bhai was just referring to, itself is unconstitutional because the qualification to be a member of the Waqf tribunal, one of the composition says that you have to be a known Islamic scholar. Now, you won't find any other court in the country where the criteria is that you must know Sanatan law or Shastrik Niyam to be a judge in a tribunal. Apart from that, Waqf tribunal itself is in violation of Article 323A and 323B, because Article 323A and B provides the subjects on which tribunals can be formed. This Waqf tribunal does not fall in that subject. It is in clear violation of those articles. Apart from that, the Waqf tribunal and the Waqf board has been given as a parallel government. वारिस भाई was saying कि वक्फ की जमीन पे encroachment हो रहा है. सर, वक्फ को power encroachment हटाने की under section 54 and 55 of the Waqf Act, if there's an encroachment on the Waqf land, Anand, you must see the provision. The chief executive officer can direct the person who has done the encroachment to remove the encroachment. If he does not do so, he can take the order from the Waqf tribunal, and ultimately the DM and the SSP are bound to carry out the orders of the Waqf tribunal as well as the Waqf board, which are passed under section 54 and 55. So these are the draconian provisions of law. Apart from the Limitation Act 1963 does not apply to the Waqf Act, to the Waqf board. If I have to come to the court, Waris Bhai will argue in Krishna Janmabhoomi case that why Vishnu Jain is challenging the compromise of 12th October 1968, why it is so late. For them, there is no such limitation. The limitation which is for me for 3 years, 6 years and 12 years, this law of limitation, they are exempted under section 107. So you have discriminated between gods also, so far as the Waqf Act is concerned. So it's a clear, and the provisions which I am citing, Anand, before you, these are the provisions which make Waqf Act very, very draconian. And we are only saying that let Waqf Act solve the disputes between Shia and Sunni, which was the original provision under 1913 and 1923, but it should not apply to non-Muslims.
Waris Pathan.
Well, my learned friend Vishnu Jain is contradicting himself. He says that the Waqf board and the Waqf tribunal had got the powers to remove the encroachment and everything. So if they've got the powers, then why does the Modi government want to interfere into it and take back the powers? You should increase their powers, give them summary powers to ensure, to see to it that those mafia who are trying to land grab the Waqf property are removed from those places. You should give them not amendment, but give them powers. But the Modi government, their intentions are malified. If they want to see to it that the property of work belonging to the Muslims, orphans and widows, that is taken away. And now Vishnujan also quoted about law. The Supreme Court is clear. Supreme Court has said, once a waqf, always a waqf. You cannot change the nature and title of it. You have no powers to sell the property. You have no powers to kill a third party right or interest in the property. So it is clear cut. And he says that Waqf board members do the Waqf board members are appointed by the state government. In Maharashtra also Waqf board members have been appointed. Waqf tribunal has been appointed by the state government in Lucknow. And as I quoted, the lady is appointed as a Waqf tribunal chairperson in UP. Are they be Sandhya Srivastava? But why do you want to interfere into it? Secondly, Anand, what my learned friend said, he quoted certain judgments, he quoted certain sections. Let me tell you, Waqf Act 1995 is into existence. If somebody is aggrieved by the order passed by the Waqf board or by the Waqf tribunal, definitely you can approach the High Court, go in appeal, file a review petition. Who stops you? There is law for that.
The intention which Waris Pathan is trying to cast upon us is that we are trying to usurp Waqf land. No one is trying to usurp Waqf land. We are trying to protect our properties from being usurped by the Waqf board. Now, why I am saying is, please see the definition of Waqf under section 3 subclause R. Waqf means the permanent dedication by any person of any movable or immovable property for any person, for any purpose recognized by the Muslim law as pious, religious or charitable, and includes Waqf by user. Now, this definition has been manipulated, Anand. Because the definition should have been, which was there under the Mullah's Muhammad law and Bailey's law, that which Waris Bhai will also admit, that it has to be your own property for being a Waqf. You should have clear ownership. You can't dedicate someone else's property and precisely this is what has happened in Taj Mahal, in Surat Municipal Corporation, in Bet Dwarka, in Allahabad High Court's case. Apart from that, in Bangalore Seedha Maidan case and Mathura Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi Ram Mandir and Gyanvapi, these things are going on. So it is no more some purely legal debate or academic debate which is happening. These powers are being misused. And let me ask you, Waris Bhai was saying that Vishnu Jain is contradicting himself. Sir, I am not contradicting myself. My point is very, very simple, that the powers which have been given to you are in clear violation of Article 14 and 15 as well as Article 21 and 27 of the Constitution of India, because such powers which have been given to the Waqf board are not with any other section of the society. The survey which is conducted, वारिस भाई से मैं पूछना चाहता हूँ, जो वक्फ की प्रॉपर्टी का सर्वे होता है अंडर सेक्शन 8 of the Waqf Act, just a minute sir, under section 8 of the Waqf Act 1995, the cost of that survey is borne by the state government. ये क्या आर्टिकल 27 का वायलेशन नहीं है? क्या कोई is there? Do you have any example?
No, may I report?
Survey is being conducted.
Okay. Allow me, Vishnu. Allow me to make my point, Vishnu. Just Anand. Just 2 minutes, Anand. Just allow me to make my point. Just now, my learned friend Vishnu Jain said, Sunni Shia dispute is going on the Waqf thing. That will be settled by the Waqf board and the Waqf tribunal. Why are you worried about? Why we say that the government wants to usurp the property is that when the 2022, when they got a notification for survey of Waqf property in UP, that time also we had raised an objection because we had an apprehension that the government's intentions are malified. They want to usurp the Waqf property belonging to the community Muslims. Now, for example, we said that if there is a 30-acre land, Anand, if there is a land 30 acres, for example, I'm just giving you an example for your understanding. Out of that, they will say 10-acre land belongs to the cemetery. Okay, Kabristan ka 10-acre land hai. The rest 20-acre land which is lying there idle, which is the Waqf property itself, which is covered under that, the government will take that land. They will say we want to use it for our purposes. Then what will happen? So this is the thing that the government's intention to take over the land because they feel that so much land belongs to the Waqf. Our ancestors have given them for the ancestors for the benefit of the Muslim community, which can be used by the community. What problem do you have?
Ancestors can give. Ancestors can give property that clearly belongs to them and that's for which they have a clear title to, sir. Ancestors cannot take.
So who is giving your property in Waqf?
No. Ancestors have given forcefully taken away land which no clear title
Nobody
and they have declared
right
it left.
to give somebody else's
so that there is a
Waqf.
shield given to that. That's the allegation. So that
You
there is a shield and that cannot be challenged in the courts. The argument is that we don't want to take any land. We want to just ensure that no land is taken
if there is a
and land which has been wrongfully converted to Waqf. and it has been done illegally even to a common normal Muslim individual whose land has been forcibly taken away should get a recourse, and there should be clear title, and there should be amendments and safeguards put in place so that it can be legally challenged.
If a land is wrongfully converted into Waqf,
we have to wait for the amendments that are brought in.
The disputes can be very well settled by the courts of law.
Women representation in the Waqf board, representation in the Waqf board, Muslim women has not happened, and across section, across all firqas of Islam in India, are they all equally represented in the Waqf board? These are all questions that remain. We'll see what the amendments aim to address. Waris Pathan and Vishnu Jain, thank you very much. I've run out of time. We're going to take a very, very short break on that note. Stay with us here on The Right Stand. A conversation with Olympic medal winner, the IOA president, and also Manu Bhakar's coach, Jaspal Rana, with us, exclusive. Stay with us.
माई भाई मैंने भी इस बार एसआईपी करके म्यूचुअल फंड में पैसे डाले, तो मुझे ये जानना था कि केवाईसी का चक्कर क्या है।
म्यूचुअल फंड सही है .com या अपने म्यूचुअल फंड की वेबसाइट पे जाओ, पैन नंबर डालो और सिर्फ इतना देखो कि तुम्हारा केवाईसी स्टेटस रजिस्टर्ड है या वैलिडेटेड।
रजिस्टर्ड हो तो
आधार और पैन कार्ड के साथ अपना केवाईसी वैलिडेट करो, जरूरी है और ज्यादा वक्त भी नहीं लगता।
और वैलिडेटेड हो तो
सही है।
सही है माई भाई, अब तक इन्वेस्ट किया ना हो तो
केवाईसी कर लो और मैदान में उतरो।
सही है।
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। योजना से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
What fast-paced developments today in the subcontinent. At least Sheikh Hasina got to set the terms of her departure from office. The military got her to sign on her own resignation, rustled up a plane and flew her out to Delhi. Sari and smile, we're told, all in place. She's landed just a few moments ago at Delhi's or Hindan airport just outside of Delhi. Her own father, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, wasn't half as lucky, even though he stood accused of almost the same sins. On August 15, the day India marks its independence, Bangladesh mourns its founder's assassination. The crime of unimaginable thanklessness sent ripples across the subcontinent in 75. And I'm talking about 1975. Today, 50 years later, almost to the date, Rahman's daughter has been ousted from power by the very same troika that did her father in. Viewers, what we can tell you, of course, is a little bit of the background. She resigned, Sheikh Hasina did, amid raging protests over a 30% job quota for families of just freedom fighters. Many people saw this as a deliberate move to provoke those who ended up on the Pakistani side of the fence in 1971-72, viewers. They said that we are equally patriotic, but we were working under compulsion. The Bangladesh High Court reinstated the quota in June after pleas from 1971 veterans. The Supreme Court then scaled back the quota to 5%. But this move failed to douse the ardor of the protesters and diffuse these fiery outbursts. 300 were killed in violent crackdown on protesters, followed by internet blackout. This happened over the last few days, and the protest led to the shutdown of transport networks and 3,500 factories. Protesters demanded the resignation of Sheikh Hasina. Army chief then met other political parties who were, of course, in the opposition, some of them, viewers, Islamic parties. The army chief then announced an interim government after meeting with other political outfits. Sheikh Hasina is in India, and sources say she is likely to head to London very soon. She may not be given more than transit in India. Indeed, like it did in 1975, the Bangladesh army will inevitably work behind the scenes to get the Jamaat-e-Islami, among other Islamist parties, and the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, the BNP, which is the principal opposition, to work out an agreement between themselves to stake claim to power. When, not if, this happens, New Delhi will have a lot to be worried about. The ousted Awami League Party chief and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina was a temperamental Democrat, but at least she wasn't a flaming religious incendiary. Hasina did very well to keep Sharia law proponents and Islamist obscurantists in check. Towards this end, she deployed several stratagems and they mostly worked. Women were free, religious minorities almost always in danger had at least a sympathetic ear.
Joining us now is somebody who started a new course at the Olympics, not just for as a woman, as also a medalist, getting 2 individual medals, missed out on a hat trick just by a whisker, but she's flanked by her coach and also the IOA president, PT Usha ji. Namaste and Jai Hind. Manu Bhakar, congratulations. Jaspal Rana ji, congratulations. PT Usha ji, congratulations. You set a target of 10. We've got 3. Are you still confident we'll get to 10?
No, I'm not telling about 10. I told more than Asian last Olympics. Because
7. Last time was 7. Yeah.
We cannot say that, and I don't want to give any pressure to our players also. It will get pressurized.
But how do you see our performance so far?
They have done good, but some of them are just missed it also. That I am feeling bad. For 3 missed it for fraction, no. That feeling very bad. Otherwise, it is okay, their performance. But we are expecting from boxing, they are not done good. Not at all done good. But maybe mix out pressure, no? Like you can't expect it because they are all coming for best performance only. But it's all the day. So otherwise, they are doing good. And hockey yesterday, how wonder match yesterday, it was nice. Hockey, they did well. And now badminton is there going, and wrestling is started. And weightlifting also going to be, and athletics Neeraj event is going to come. So we have a lot of events, and we'll do always positive. I'm always positive, and we cannot just predict just like that. But let them do their best.
That's true. If the 100-meter men's final can be decided at 9.79, 1 and 2, so it is very, very near ones. Manu, how do you see your performance?
So my performance has been really good. All the matches I performed amazing. The qualifications, the finals, everything was great. So I think it was a good finish personally for me in Paris 2024. Coming from Tokyo, it means a lot to me. And I definitely couldn't have done this without the unwavering support of so many people. My family, friends, then my coaches, Pal sir and PT Usha ma'am, who actually helped me with so many things for this Olympics. So finally, this was possible for me.
From a 19-year-old at Tokyo 2020 to a 22-year-old at Paris 2024, what's changed for you? One thing I see is you're so much more still. How's that happened? At 22 years, how are you able to remain so still?
So firstly, I think experience teaches a lot to everyone. And I've had quite the experience in these 3-4 years. So I would say Tokyo taught me so many lessons that no other competition could have. So I came back stronger from Tokyo. And the stillness you're talking about, I would say that this is probably the sport, the shooting sport, and also the support that I'm getting from the people in my team and everyone around me. Yeah.
In terms of mental strength, how you would be able to, as an individual sport, how do you deal with failures? Is that something our athletes need to perhaps learn on the big stage a little more? I'm just asking your thoughts when you see them, that physically, ability-wise, they're there, but in terms of getting mental shape right, is that something that we need to do?
Yeah, that is very important. Actually, every time you can't win also, failure will only become winning. So when you lose, you should not disheartened in that losing. But they should make their mind strong, and they should go for training and concentrate on their own event and do a lot of work, and then they will be able to. You cannot go first race, go and win and that. But losing, one day you will be going to win also. So my story is because my 1988 Seoul Olympics was flop because of my injury. It is not because of my fault or anything. But injury is part and parcel of sports. But people will not understand that, no. When you are doing good top, when you go one missing also, they will start criticizing you. My case is totally different. See, people are expecting the performance from what I did in Los Angeles 55-4 in district meet also in Kerala or state meet also. It is not possible because I am running with the champions, you will get good performance. You are running with the normal people, you may not be able to do. So lot of criticize and lot of up and down then. But for that, if you go on that, then it is difficult. But you should be very strong mentally so that you will be able to do performance good.
A lot of inspirational stories around you. One to your left, your own coach is a story of inspiration. I've seen him hit the heights, world champion, then go down and then leave the sport altogether. Now he's come back to marshal you. Jaspal Rana, how's it been for you? And how has Manu Bhaker been as a student?
It's been a long journey, and I'm here because of PT Usha ma'am, Captain Narang, and I'm thankful to them that this achievement was not possible without. And yes, when I started my journey, there was lots ups and downs. 94, I was on top of the world. World Championship, Commonwealth Games, Asian Games. 2000, 1998 again. So there was a down for 3 years and up, down for 3 years, and then 2002, and then down for 3 years, and again 2006, and then I quit. So actually what happens, when you ask for strength from the God, when you ask for the achievement from the God, he gives you all the kind of troubles, all kind of problems. And he can't come and give the problems. He sent people to give you problems. So in a way, if Manu did not have that fall, that problem, because maybe she was the chosen one, and ultimately she made the history here. But I'm sure that somewhere down the line, that Tokyo Olympic played a very important role in her life.
Now, the other thing you said, Jaspal Rana, that she's matured quite a bit. Now, what was the difference, the second medal at stake, in those crunch moments? Let me ask Manu this. What goes through your mind? How are you able to keep yourself still? Do you feel that just that slight waver that comes into your hand, something you feel ki kuch to change ho raha hai? Do the nerves tend to get, how do you control yourself then?
I think, sir, this has been my profession since past 8.5 years, and that is what I practice for. So my job is to master that and not think about the waves and movements.
How do you do it? Yeah, tell me.
Lots of practice. There's nothing one can do without practice. So it's certainly lots of practice, physical as well as mental. And then there's the willpower. So I keep telling myself, come on, you can do it. Come on, you can do it. So I think that's that. And rest, I would say, I have faith in the Almighty and myself.
Let me ask PT Usha ji, have you decided who's going to be the flag bearer at the closing ceremony? Is this young 22-year-old going to get the opportunity?
Yeah, why you having doubt? So he made the history, no? You're winning 2 bronze medal in Olympics. So no question of asking that. Manu will be there, and we will decide for the other one. We will decide.
That's fantastic. So great. So see, we got you something special. But Jaspal Rana, what's more important, the gold or the beautiful shot? Let me put you in a spot.
See, the goal definitely must have been something, we always dream about. But what we got is not less. And tell me one thing, should we ask for that gold which we lost with the same point and shoot off? Or shall we talk about those 2 bronze medals which we got with the same margin? So, boss, this is gold for us, and this is golden girl. So she has proved herself, and I'm happy that she is the chosen one and she made the history. I'm really proud of her.
I'm a cricket fan, so there is the Sachin Tendulkar classic off drive. That's magic. Sachin 100 मारे नहीं मारे, but वो एक shot देखने को मिल गया तो वसूल है. आपके केस में ना, that shot when you don't even know that you've actually hit the shot, man. How do you do that? I saw your video, मुझे पता भी नहीं लगा कि आपने फायर किया है.
नहीं, आपको नहीं, मैं तो रोज देखता हूँ, मुझे कई शॉट का पता नहीं चला जब तक वो स्क्रीन पे शॉट नहीं आ गया कि शी हैज ऑलरेडी फायर्ड. So
That's the perfect shot we call. That's the that's the one of the best shots that any shooter can have is like you have fired the shot, but nobody can say that she has or he had fired the shot. So that's the finest shot. The quality of shot is like
100%.
100%.
She was too good. I don't know if she can repeat the same performance. She might win gold with lesser performance, but what she did this time was, trust me, and add to that Olympic level, because I've seen people, falling down just like that, like what PT Samam said, because you're competing 50 people, but all 50 are like world champion.
Jitni तारीफ की है, I think he's also made a list of things where you need to improve, Manu. Has he shared that list with you already?
We don't need to improve. We just need to maintain this thing. That will be a task.
Consistency.
Yes.
You must be missing Indian food. You've been training in Luxembourg. You've been in Europe for a while.
Well, yesterday Ajay Narang sir gave me this treat for like as much as I want to have Indian food, a very good restaurant here with many people. So I think that's off my bucket list now.
What do you think we need to do? What's the next level of transition that we need to do as a nation?
So before hosting the Olympics, we should have the more medals. We should get more medals from the Olympics. We should be sure that we are going to like we will be in. If we target about top 10, then only will come out top 20 also. So and for that, I think we should give concentration more on grassroots level.
If Bharat ke andar sports becomes a way of our life, Manu, you think that will change? What do you think we need to do as a country to ensure that we get more medals at the Olympics? We are mentally stronger.
I agree with PT Usha ma'am and sir, Jaspal sir. What they said is 100% correct, because junior programs and all, I am a part of it. I came through the junior program, and the junior program was not only for a year or two. Yes, I was a part of Khelo India, but I would say that the longevity was provided to me by the junior program.
Co-powered by
माई भाई, मैंने भी इस बार SIP करके म्यूचुअल फंड में पैसे डाले। तो मुझे ये जानना था कि KYC का चक्कर क्या है?
म्यूचुअल फंड सही है .com या अपने म्यूचुअल फंड की वेबसाइट पे जाओ, पैन नंबर डालो और सिर्फ इतना देखो कि तुम्हारा KYC स्टेटस रजिस्टर्ड है या वैलिडेटेड।
रजिस्टर्ड हो तो
आधार और पैन कार्ड के साथ अपना KYC वैलिडेट करो, जरूरी है और ज्यादा वक्त भी नहीं लगता।
और वैलिडेटेड हो तो
सही है।
सही है माई भाई, अब तक इन्वेस्ट किया ना हो तो
KYC कर लो और मैदान में उतरो।
सही है।
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। योजना से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
What fast-paced developments today in the subcontinent. At least Sheikh Hasina got to set the terms of her departure from office. The military got her to sign on her own resignation, rustled up a plane and flew her out to Delhi. Sari and smile, we're told, all in place. She's landed just a few moments ago at Delhi's Hindan airport just outside of Delhi. Her own father, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, wasn't half as lucky, even though he stood accused of almost the same sins. On August 15, the day India marks its independence, Bangladesh mourns its founder's assassination. The crime of unimaginable thanklessness sent ripples across the subcontinent in 75. And I'm talking about 1975. Today, 50 years later, almost to the date, Rahman's daughter has been ousted from power by the very same troika that did her father in. Viewers, what we can tell you, of course, is a little bit of the background. She resigned, Sheikh Hasina did, amid raging protests over a 30% job quota for families of just freedom fighters. Many people saw this as a deliberate move to provoke those who ended up on the Pakistani side of the fence in 1971-72, viewers. They said that we are equally patriotic, but we were working under compulsion. The Bangladesh High Court reinstated the quota in June after pleas from 1971 veterans. The Supreme Court then scaled back the quota to 5%. But this move failed to douse the ardor of the protesters and diffuse these fiery outbursts. 300 were killed in violent crackdown on protesters, followed by internet blackout. This happened over the last few days, and the protest led to the shutdown of transport networks and 3,500 factories. Protesters demanded the resignation of Sheikh Hasina. Army chief then met other political parties who were, of course, in the opposition, some of them viewed as Islamic parties. The army chief then announced an interim government after meeting with other political outfits. Sheikh Hasina is in India, and sources say she is likely to head to London very soon. She may not be given more than transit in India. Indeed, like it did in 1975, the Bangladesh army will inevitably work behind the scenes to get the Jamaat-e-Islami, among other Islamist parties, and the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, the BNP, which is the principal opposition, to work out an agreement between themselves to stake claim to power. When, not if, this happens, New Delhi will have a lot to be worried about.
News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio.
Good evening, welcome to Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. We're coming to you live from the CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio. There has been a political earthquake in neighboring Bangladesh. Sheikh Hasina, the longest ruling Prime Minister of Bangladesh, has been ousted in a bloody coup. For months now, Bangladesh has been witnessing protests against a controversial quota ruling. But that has now claimed the Prime Minister, who was forced to resign today and flee from her country. She's currently in India. She's en route to London. This presents a major challenge to India, as both domestically, the opposition party, the BNP, as well as Islamist parties are expected to come to power. Internationally, this will make Bangladesh move closer to both China and Pakistan. So how did things come to such a pass where someone who has ruled uninterrupted for the better part of the last 15 years, 4 terms as Prime Minister,